ChatGPT just became a streaming platform. Not metaphorically. A real streaming service launched a native app inside it today, and that's only the second most interesting thing that happened in AI this week. Today we have 5 stories that, taken together, paint a very clear picture of where AI infrastructure is heading. A free streaming service embeds directly inside ChatGPT. Atlassian wires third-party AI agents into Confluence. A startup called Poke lets anyone run automations by sending a text. IBM Research publishes a framework for agents that learn on the job. And a new multi-agent system can write a full academic paper from scratch. Let's get into it. Tubi, the free ad-supported streaming service owned by Fox, just became the first streamer to launch a native app directly inside ChatGPT. That means ChatGPT users can now browse Tubi's catalog, get recommendations, and presumably start watching, all without leaving the chat interface. On the surface, this looks like a content partnership. Zoom out and it's something more significant. OpenAI has been quietly building an app ecosystem inside ChatGPT, and Tubi just became its first media tenant. This is the moment ChatGPT stops being a search alternative and starts behaving like a platform. The kind that other businesses build on top of. For Tubi, the logic is straightforward. ChatGPT has hundreds of millions of active users who are already asking questions like, "What should I watch tonight?" Being the answer to that question natively is enormously valuable distribution. No algorithm to fight, no app store cut, just presence at the moment of intent. For OpenAI, this is proof of concept. If a streamer can embed inside ChatGPT, so can a retailer, a travel booking service, a bank. The monetization path for ChatGPT just got a lot more interesting, and a lot more familiar. This is the App Store model, rebuilt inside a conversational interface. Watch how fast others follow. Atlassian just pushed a significant update to Confluence that does 2 distinct things. First, it adds visual AI tools, so users can now generate diagrams, charts, and other visual assets directly inside Confluence without leaving the document. Second, and more importantly, it's opening Confluence to third-party AI agents from Lovable, Replit, and Gamma. Let's talk about why the second part matters more. Confluence has always been where teams store their institutional knowledge. Wikis, project specs, meeting notes, decisions. It's the memory layer of a company. By wiring external AI agents into that layer, Atlassian is turning Confluence from a document repository into an active workspace where agents can read, write, and act on company knowledge in real time. Lovable and Replit are both AI-native development tools. Gamma builds AI-powered presentations. Connecting these to Confluence means a developer can ask an agent to pull the latest product spec and spin up a prototype, or a PM can generate a stakeholder deck from a project wiki, all without copy-pasting between tools. This is the enterprise version of the same platform play we just saw with Tubi and ChatGPT. The battleground for AI adoption in 2026 isn't the model, it's the workflow. Atlassian is betting that whoever owns the document layer owns the agent layer too. Here's the problem with most AI automation tools. They're built for people who already know what automation is. Zapier, Make, even the newer agent platforms, they all assume a baseline of technical comfort. Poke is trying to fix that by making the interface a text message. The pitch is simple. You text Poke what you want done. Something like, remind me every Monday to send a status update to my team, or whenever I get an email from my landlord, save it to a folder and text me, and it handles the setup. No workflow builder, no account linking wizard, no documentation to read, just a text. This is a meaningful UX bet. The smartphone unlocked computing for billions of people not because the hardware got better but because the interface became intuitive. SMS is the most universally understood interface on the planet. If AI agents can operate through it reliably, that's a genuine accessibility unlock. Not just for non-technical users, but for anyone who doesn't want to manage yet another dashboard. The skeptic's question is reliability. Automation tools live and die on whether they work consistently and fail gracefully. But as a distribution strategy, meeting users where they already are, in their messages, is smart. Poke is a small startup, but the idea it represents is not small at all. IBM Research published a framework today called ALTK-Evolve, and the core idea is worth paying attention to. AI agents that learn on the job, not through retraining, not through human feedback loops, but by improving their own tool use and task strategies while they're actually deployed. Most AI agents today are static at inference time. You train them, you deploy them, and they perform at whatever level they were trained to. If the environment changes, new tools, new task formats, unexpected edge cases, they degrade or fail. ALTK-Evolve is designed to address that brittleness by letting agents update their behavioral strategies dynamically based on what's working and what isn't. The research framing here is on-the-job learning, which is a deliberately human analogy. A new employee doesn't arrive knowing every internal tool and process, they learn by doing. IBM is trying to give agents that same adaptive capacity. Why does this matter beyond the lab? Because the biggest barrier to deploying AI agents in real enterprise environments isn't capability at launch, it's reliability over time. Systems change, APIs update, workflows evolve. An agent that can adapt without requiring a full retraining cycle is dramatically more practical than one that can't. This is foundational infrastructure work. And IBM doing it in public on Hugging Face signals they want the research community building on it. The new paper out of Archive introduces PaperOrchestra, a multi-agent framework that takes unstructured research materials, notes, data, prior work, and produces a submission-ready academic paper in LaTeX format. This isn't a writing assistant that helps you phrase a sentence better. This is a system designed to do the full synthesis job. Structure the argument, situate it in existing literature, and produce a formatted manuscript. The researchers specifically call out two failure modes in existing AI writing tools. First, they're rigidly coupled to specific experimental pipelines, meaning they only work if your research fits a narrow format. Second, they produce shallow literature reviews that don't actually engage with prior work. PaperOrchestra addresses both by using a multi-agent architecture where different agents handle different parts of the writing process, allowing for more flexible input and deeper synthesis. The implications here are genuinely complicated. On one hand, this could democratize research output, helping scientists who are strong experimenters but weaker writers produce clearer manuscripts. On the other hand, it raises real questions about what authorship means when the synthesis layer is automated. What's notable is that this is being built in the open, on Archive, for the research community to scrutinize. That's the right way to develop something this consequential. The conversation about where AI-assisted writing ends and AI-generated research begins is one the academic community needs to have loudly and quickly. Step back from today's 5 stories and a single pattern becomes impossible to ignore. AI is moving from the edge of workflows to the center of them. Tubi inside ChatGPT and Atlassian's agent integrations are both versions of the same strategic move. Established platforms opening themselves up as AI-native environments where other services can operate. That's not a product update. That's a platform architecture decision. OpenAI and Atlassian are both betting that the next layer of value isn't in the model itself, it's in the ecosystem built on top of it. Poke and ALTK-Evolve sit at the other end of the spectrum. One focused on making agents accessible to everyday users, the other on making them reliable enough for enterprise deployment. These are the two hardest problems in the agent space right now. Capability is largely solved. Distribution and durability are not, and PaperOrchestra points to something longer term. The automation of knowledge work at its most complex. Writing a research paper isn't filling out a form. It requires judgment, synthesis, and understanding of context. The fact that we're building multi-agent systems that can attempt it in the open for peer review tells you how fast the frontier is moving. The through line this week is infrastructure. Not flashy demos, not benchmark records. The quiet structural work of making AI the layer everything else runs on. That's the story of 2026 so far, and today was another chapter. That's your AI Pulse for April 8th. One question for the comments: if AI agents can now learn on the job, adapt to changing environments, and write their own research papers, what's the last task category you think genuinely requires a human? Drop your answer below. I read everyone. Tomorrow we're tracking a major development in AI hardware that the chip industry has been quietly building toward for 2 years. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.